Hello, my name is Rodney Berry. Many of you know me, many of you do not. I ran into Jesus in Radfest Festival, the conference in San Diego. His name is Ray Corswell. His other name is George Church, Aubrey de Grey, Bill Andrews, David Sinclair, which I ran into Aubrey de Grey there, but I seen the great Ray Corswell there. But I had a gentleman contact me from my videos, and he asked me, "Is that a crucifix hanging around your neck?" I said, "Yes, it is." He contacted me privately on the social media, and we're in a very unusual time right now. And he said, "I've seen some of your videos, and I noticed you're wearing, is that a crucifix?" So I contacted him back, and I said, "Yes, yes, it is." And then he says, "Are you a Christian?" And he hits a question mark on there. And I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "This to me is the symbol of life. I follow life." And he says, "Oh, it's just a question." Then he gives me a little laugh. So he's a scientific mind. I've seen him elsewhere. He's a man that is a scientific mind. And the only thing he got out of my videos was I was wearing something that I use as a ninja star sometimes. I mean, it's not a crucifix to me. It's a symbol of strength to me. And I will show you. What if Ray Corswell existed back in the days of Jesus? And Ray Corswell come up and he said, "Hey, you know what? I see a day when we can make a machine that can translate languages, can speak for the blind, can do all these things, can do many fabulous things." They would burn him at the stake. They would burn him at the stake. I've talked to gentlemen, and I say, the Isaiah, the prophet of old, and I'll say the philosopher Isaiah. And then he jumped up and he said, "Hey, Isaiah was not a philosopher." I said, "Have you read his work?" And that particular gentleman said, "I've read all the Bible, and I know it's a lot of gunk." No, what you've seen was scientists of that day that were trying to preserve their life long enough to exist to where they could write something, even in code. Isaiah was beautiful at code. He said these people have some kind of disease or something. And Isaiah even tried to find the disease. And he spoke of how it would come to him in the morning itself because he'd wake with confusion. So he said, Lucifer, the confusion of the morning. Now, I do the same thing, and many people I know and see, I know they do. They wake in the morning and say, "Man, let me get this head together." And Isaiah said, "Oh, man, I've got something in me that's screwing me up, man. This Lucifer, this thing that is causing me to be screwed up." But Isaiah would speak in what is called parable, but he was not as fortunate as Ray Corswell. He was not as fortunate as George Church. The scientific mind in those days was destroyed. Every time somebody broke protocol and started thinking for themselves, they were immediately killed. Immediately. Hung up on a cross or something. You see what I'm leading to here? The mighty man Jesus, Ray Corswell. The mighty man Jesus, George Church. The mighty man Jesus, Aubrey de Grey. The mighty man Jesus, Bill Andrews. The mighty man Jesus, David Sinclair. Jesus, he even spit it out of his mouth like Aubrey de Grey. I ran into Aubrey de Grey by chance. I was a man that truly lived in recluse and stayed in my office all day, and I contacted people all over the world. There is probably I can't picture any office of any university or any office of any political system on this earth that I have not contacted. Contacted them. I've contacted the individuals there by the thousands, by the thousands. And I try to explain things to them. But they look at me like these fools that would have killed them in another day. They tell me, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Man, we got a disease." I said, "No, dude, you ain't got no disease." I said, "Aging is a disease, and I can prove it to you." "How can you do that? What university are you from?" I said, "Well, I had to die and lay in a sick bed and think forever and ever and start watching documentaries and start reading things and try to figure out what the hell was happening to me." So I became a data researcher, solutions analyst. So, I mean, I did start college, but I had many events that took place in my life. Everything from the police attacking me for being a college student and beating me for 20 minutes, stomping my ass because I was a college kid standing on a street corner with long hair and a beard, and they decided I needed an ass whipping. They dragged me around for 20 minutes stomping on me. So after I got over that, and they had to do some things to keep me incarcerated because they had beat me so bad. But then I went on and I said, well, I've got to figure out a way to exist now. I've got to find a way to keep going here after I got out of that mess. And I decided to become a building inspector and inspect buildings. And I said, I will start college again next year, and I'm going to get my life together because I had to sell everything I own to keep me from being incarcerated for 25 years because some police wanted to beat me so bad that they planted things in my car and on me and my friends so they would not lose their job or maybe even be incarcerated themselves. That's the heroes they were that day. But anyway, the disease that we all have is tampering with our minds. I meant to draw that up here now that I realize I don't do it. We have a disease that literally tries to separate the hemispheres of the brain, that literally clogs the brain of most individuals. Guess who are the scientists of Earth? Guess who they are? Those people that their body, their immune system, their stem cell system fights this disease better than the next guy down the street, which is very sad. You see these poor people, you walk by and say, what is wrong with this poor gentleman? What is wrong with this poor lady? Something is wrong with her. I mean, I guess she's just stupid. No, they're not stupid. They have a severe disease. And if they didn't have that disease, that person right there could probably rise up and change this world in a major way. But, as I say, Ray Kurzweil, he is the Jesus of this day. George Church, he is the Jesus of this day. Isla Stabler, I meant to write him up here. I forgot about that. He is the Jesus of this day. Other gentlemen I run into, I couldn't get them all on the board naturally, but I just wanted to give you an example. David Sinclair, I seen Jesus at the Radfest, Aubrey de Grey, Ray Kurzweil, George Church. I have laughingly told people, well, George Church is prophesying me. And they'll look at me and say, that sounds stupid. I said, well, you could say predict. Ray Kurzweil says predict. Try prediction. Try technological prediction in the year 2000 BC, whatever the case may be, and you get your ass kicked and you're burned. So George Church mentioned one day that he figured a citizen scientist was needed to help because he was mentioning some of the citizen scientists of the past. And he said he felt a citizen scientist was badly needed right now. Shocked the shit out of me because he's a great man. And there's many, in the history, you can go from Bell to many people that were basically citizen scientists. But George Church said it. If George Church said that to somebody, just walked up to him in the past, long ago, and even in the years, 1500 before that, George Church could walk up and say, I think we need a citizen scientist to come and help us straighten this thing out. Grab him. He just said, God is not all powerful. They're always hanging somebody or killing somebody or burning somebody because they thought they were God, because they were speaking out of turn. They were speaking something that wasn't written in the Quran or in the Torah. All these things in the New Testament, just anything to stop science. It's happened. I won't take off this symbol of a past researcher. I will fight to the death for this past researcher. The man knew things. I can show you in his work because I noticed in the Old Testament they were speaking in parable. And I said, well, I think, and I've seen some other amazing researchers that had said they seen something in the Bible. And I went to what they seen, and I said, there's much more in this book. We're not seeing it. These poor men trying to pass knowledge on to the future. Isaiah was one of the original men, like Ray Kurzweil, and they said, you know what? If I say this to these people directly, they're going to kill me. So you tell them, God has told me that if we don't do this here, this and that's going to happen. But he said in parable, and I said, he's leading to something there. And finally, when Isaiah realized that he was fixing to be exterminated, fixing to be destroyed, he come out and said in the, I believe it was the 25th chapter, the 8th and 9th verse of Isaiah, to where he said, there is a man coming that will swallow up death and victory. He was actually saying there's a scientist coming that's going to swallow up death and victory. He's going to destroy this crap that is making you people pray all day long. You do not pray all day long. That's one of the things the scientist Jesus was trying to get him out of. Jesus shows up and he says, you know what? All these people do is pray all day. He said, man, the things that could be done if they weren't walking around praying all day. So Jesus says, let me teach you how to pray. Bam. He says, just once a day, Ask the Father for something. Ask the great. Another thing upsets people is I say they're connecting to their genome. There's people right now today that are able to say it and they're not destroyed. I say that there's some kind of message that was even sent to us in our DNA, in our RNA. I wrote it in a short story many years ago that I called it the scars of instinction were embedded in our DNA, the trauma of the past, the trauma maybe even of another galaxy. I don't know. You have to look at these things. I've had those nights, what I call the great creator cell of life, which again pisses people off. That's the way it goes, man. Science has proven conclusively that we ourselves are stem cells. Stem cells. We are. Science has proven that one of the stem cells becomes the brain. Guess what we are? We're walking, talking stem cells. There's one stem cell that rose up, was trained through society, and then he had a little bit in his DNA that was helping him out, and suddenly he becomes a large, walking, talking stem cell that is, we're the only ones that can be a walking, talking stem cell. We're creating things, we're curing diseases, we're inventing things, all sorts of technology, all these things. I have contacted everybody from Harvard, Princeton, Cambridge, even MIT. What would we do without technology? I have had men that have stopped me, and I said, well, in the old days, the old researchers, and then he stopped me. He said, what do you mean the old researchers? Oh, yeah, the philosophers. Paul of Tarsus, he was a scientist. Luke was a scientist, a medical scientist. Luke written as a doctor. Paul of Tarsus was taught all of the knowledge of that day. Paul even stated, I know all things. And I tell you, there's some screwed up shit going on here. And Paul stated it. It popped right out of his mouth. And when I seen it, I almost peed on myself. Paul says what we need to stand against to cure all this here is the principalities of the air. What is in the air? What do we know is in the air? Bacteria, fungus, all these things that are in our gut that are causing toxins. Toxins from everything from gamma aminobutyric acid to riboflavin, roseoflavin, the analog that science knows kills people. There is bacteria and microbes in our body that are making 4 and 5 different formulas of riboflavin. And Yale University just proved me and many people like Dr. Aubrey de Grey that the cell itself needs an overhaul, needs a complete overhaul. But what I knew, and I kept telling people, there's something in there on a nano level. There's something in there on a nano level. Subatomic, I would tell them, massless. I said massless. So then I found Walter Gilbert's theory of how life began on Earth. Excuse me, I broke my jaw as a child. Walter Gilbert theorized that there was a being called Luca that had made RNA bacteria, or he said developed RNA, but as we know now, and as Walter Gilbert knew at the time, he was speaking off of other people's data. And you can believe in the days of old, Isaiah was speaking from other people's data. I mean, people that was able to escape murder. He would just have a friend of his, him and his friend was talking, and he gave him an idea, and they passing ideas back and forth to each other. So Walter Gilbert, it is written that he come up with this theory, but then you notice he's friends and acquaintances with people that were discovering nanobacteria. And he said, there's RNA in this here. So I say there was something called Luca, just a dirty energy, maybe just a massless energy that started trying to make things, and it had to start on a small scale. So he said it had to build first an RNA, and then it went on to DNA, and then went on to all these crazy microbes and everything. And then voila, here we are today. But what people don't realize is inside these bacteria on Earth, such as Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Wolbachia, phage, different things like this, there is Luca in there. That dirty energy is passing itself from bacteria. That massless freak, or whatever the hell it was, massless energy, whatever the case. Walter Gilbert theorized it, and it's still in these bacteria. But when these bacteria die, this weak energy comes out of them. Well, if it's in a body, this weak energy, we could say, metastasize itself to the body. So as we notice when we get older, and science knows this, they've proven it, they've checked it, the energy level of the body starts going down. They've discovered that the body itself runs off of electricity. But as we get older, our generator starts breaking down of all of our cells, which passes that weak energy into our body itself. And that weak energy from this LUCA is building and building and building in the body. And then it finally seizes the body and the cell dies. I call us a large cell because we are a walking, talking stem cell. If you don't like it, meet me in a field of honor and I'll beat your ass and then we can talk. But here we go again. My Gerivify algorithm in serum. Now there is gentlemen out here that I know for 100% fact. I know for 100% fact. Dr. Aubrey de Grey, if he would have been like me, a recluse, a man sick and dying. I've got works that I have on the internet and I don't have time to correct them. And actually I don't correct them because you can see a man that was trembling, trembling. I was dying and blood coming out everywhere. And I'm just dying. I said, well, this is it. This is the big one. And I'm trying to leave my information like Isaiah, like Jesus Christ, like Dr. Aubrey de Grey would do if he was dying and he realized people around him was wrong and didn't understand what was going on. I say Aubrey de Grey, if he had been sick and dying, or just a man that had the opportunity to be a recluse and just study and do what he desires, such as Isaac Newton. So what he had to do, he had to finally become a recluse to where he would come up with his greatest works. If Aubrey de Grey would have had the opportunity like me to be damn near dead, he would have maybe come up with the same realization. We have Jesus Christ, Ray Kurzweil, again, George Church, Jesus Christ, Isaiah, George Church, Aubrey de Grey, Bill Andrews, Moses, Bill Andrews, Aubrey de Grey, George Church, Ray Kurzweil. Moses said, I'm going to figure this shit out, man. If there's such a thing out here that I can talk to, I'm going to do it. What did he talk to? Did he come to, I don't know, the great genome? I don't doubt Moses. But I get right there and I stop and I say, well, what exactly is he talking to? Is he talking to some kind of main genome that exists in the universe or something? And it's in our DNA. That's why I come up with my scars of extinction, because I said, is there any way a being that created life eons ago out in a universe, is there any way that in our DNA, one of these genes pops it into our brain, or this stem cell pops it into our brain and we know it? And that's what Moses was finally coming to a realization of, And he, at that time, he said, hey, you guys are messed up. And you got some kind of disease. Follow me. Well, we got a problem brewing. These great men like Ray Kurzweil, Jesus, in those days, they said, man, if shit keeps going like this and people stay this disease, this infected, Jesus called it a possession. You see, you see it in the theorisis today. We have theorisis today because if your terminology is not right, you can sink like a rock. Well, Jesus called it a possession. It was an infection. Jesus says you're possessed, but I'm telling you this. I believe Jesus Christ was a man, an extraordinary man, that was born with a powerful stem cell system. Powerful. I'm talking about really powerful. I think he was at least half stem cell. Sound weird? Well, we have witness. I should have wrote Luke up here. We have Luke. We have other people. Luke was a witness by secondhand information, but you had Paul, secondhand information, but you had John. You had all these people that said Jesus came and he told us we have a possession. A possession. Well, it went through how many languages? And then we have today people trying to translate it. And if they didn't translate it right, an intelligent man would have been looking at it today and they was doing this exact same. Maybe it was translated too soon. An intelligent man today, like Aubrey de Grey, a great man. I love the hell out of Aubrey de Grey. I just like his attitude. Just like that. Like I said, I was trying to say it earlier. went to Facebook, and a young boy, Rowan Horn, he told me about Aubrey de Grey, and I thought I was the only person on planet Earth trying to cure aging in my office, my home office. And I stayed off the internet and all these things because people were trying to contact my children and do sexual things to them. When I found out, I threw the internet out of my house. But I was thinking, let's throw this damn thing out of here. And I've done my own research on my own. When it was tough going through bookstore. Well, on the computer, it got really easy for me when I went back after my kids got old enough, and I went back to the internet. But let me see if I can find my way back. Dr. Aubrey de Grey, he would be, if able to recluse himself, take himself from society, he would have even more marvels than he's already done. In this mess, what I call the vortex of data. We have a vortex of data. I was scared the hell out of it. I was afraid of it. I said, I got to find what's causing us to act like this and causing us to have disease. I said, let me go into this data. And I looked at it, and I would envision myself trying to reach to it, and I would be like zip, zip. I was scared, like that vortex. I said, man, if I grab it too hard, it's going to pull me in there, And that's what's going on with these mighty gentlemen here. They're much greater men than myself. They were pulled into that vortex so long ago, and they fought their way out of it with great creations, great ideas, great cures. The vortex, they went into the vortex, and as I stated, I was dying. I said, do I have long enough to do this? Can I handle it? And I let myself be drawn in finally one day. And like I say, I wanted to do a cartoon of it, to where, I'm up there and there's a whirlwind there, and I'm standing and little books flying by and different things like that. And then me, like reaching for it. And all of a sudden I'm pulled in, And I wanted to have in that cartoon, people like Dr. Aubrey de Grey or people like that, where they're chasing death or chasing the Grim Reaper by me as I'm being pulled in the vortex. They're chasing death, and I'm going in there myself into the same vortex they're in to come out of there with what is killing us, what is aging us, what is causing us to act abnormally. You see these criminals. You see people committing murder. You see people committing robberies. You see people calling themselves great leaders, great politicians. And what they're there for actually is to steal. They want to be billionaires. They want to be millionaires. They want to be thousandaires. I don't give a crap as a thousandaire. They go there because they want to be either famous, rich, richer. It's just ridiculous. And this is drawing all of our attention to where we need to be concentrating on to Revivify the Algorithm. David Sinclair's got a decent product out now. Ray Kurzweil, Aubrey de Grey, I'm just amazed at this man. He stays in the vortex, it seems to me, while he's off on these conferences. I take one airplane flight and I'm near dead, because my body's still weak, and my body's attrition level, it stays on a very low level, on a constant. So I've got to watch my activity each week or I'll be bedridden. Me now 65 years old, but I was bedridden back when I was 30 years old. Here we go. It's hard to get all this in a quick video. Again, I was telling you about the Revivify algorithm and Serum Elixir. It's in our data, our data. That shit belongs to us, all of us. It's in our data. Like Bill Andrews goes into data. David Sinclair goes into data. All go into data. As Jesus Christ foretold of the day of biology. He said, in the day of biology, you better kick it. You better get quick. That's how extreme this man was. That's how powerful he was. He said, you better get into that data and you better get in there quick. He foretold of the day coming of biology. He said, but I believe in that day of biology, there will come a massive war that will wipe out all knowledge, that will wipe out everything we built. And Isaiah stated too. Isaiah said there comes a day when men will be hiding under rocks. They will be living in caves due to war, due to the coming of God's war. And I said, oh man, this is a major bummer. But when I seen Jesus Christ had foretold of biology, I said, I got to kick up a stick here. So I started contacting universities and stuff, and they were all failing me. I don't blame them. I told them I'm dying. And, I said, I'm a sick man on my couch. I said, I found some things here. Can I talk to you about them? They refused to do so, so I had to go on to other people. And finally, I reached for religion, and that was a big mistake. Have we come out of the dark ages? No, we have not. Have we come out of the dark ages? No. You see, Dr. Aubrey de Grey, what he calls the pro-trance of death again, I call the quorum sensing of mankind due to all the many amino acids made by all the operons of the bacteria of the world. But this situation is at a crossroads. Ray Kurzweil, back in the year 2030, was telling us, if we don't hurry, there's a war coming that's going to wipe out all the work of great men, and the heathens, the wild mind, is going to again rule the earth, and we'll be back, Isaiah said, we'll be back to living in caves. That's how serious of a moment we're living in right now. It's serious. And I try to, damn it, I got in politics by politics trying to take my life. I said, dude, I'll jump in there with him. I'll jump in there. Come on. Come at me. I'll jump in there with him. That's always been my attitude. I said, I've damn near died many times in my life, and I believe I did die under a building one day and had to be revived. I was electrocuted. That's how many of my health problems developed. But these people today are heading right down the road that the great Ray Kurzweil that was hung on a cross, the great George Church that was hung on a cross, the great Aubrey de Grey that was hung on a cross, the great Bill Andrews hung on a cross, the great David Sinclair hung on a cross. David Sinclair would have stood up one day, and you hear it in Jesus' word. I will destroy death. I will give you life abundant if you'll just listen to my words. And instead, the poor man had to make Isaiah a prophet by going to death. Isaiah said, man, Isaiah's seen people already in his day being killed just like that, stabbed up on a tree somewhere or something. And Isaiah says, man, there's a powerful man coming one of these days. And when this poor man comes, he's going to swallow up death and victory. But when he does, he's going to have to hang on a cross because he's going to say things that's going to destroy the works of many evil preachers and clerics and whatever on earth that were killing anybody that got in their way because their power is from fantasy, what they call fantasy. They took powerful words of Isaiah and made them, whimsical. Oh, he was just speaking, just trying to be cool. He was a real cool preacher. No, Isaiah long ago said, if I tell this to people like Ray Kurzweil of today does, they're going to kill the hell out of me, man, because I've already watched some of my friends be killed for saying, can we at least say that I think some of you guys might ought to go home and lay down and clean your bodies and go fast for a while. Kill him, Boom, couldn't even say that, some of them, But Ray Kurzweil, amazing man. He's been clicking along. Ray Kurzweil do that no matter if it's called, a futurist today, futurology, whatever you want to call it. If he would have done that back in those days, he's gone, man. The moment it came out of his mouth, he was dead. This is because of a disease, not because of religion. It's because of people that was controlling religion in that day, and still today. They're more infected than everybody else. Because their stem cell system can't fight the disease as good as these gentlemen. As good as many that are at Harvard, Princeton, Cambridge, MIT. Again, I tell you, I've seen Jesus at Radfest. Jesus at Radfest. Jesus at Radfest. We've got a possession here. He said, oh, you got a bad. He go up, and I'm telling you, I feel so certain of this. I believe if he wouldn't have been hung to that cross, that poor man, a researcher that I'm not going to forsake, a researcher, he was hung to that cross, and he knew he had to walk to it for his parable, for his words, because he knew if he didn't do that and have some people spread it around, that it was going to die. And that this war that is coming, if we don't stop it, it is medical science fault more than any other person on planet Earth. Right now, today, we have all the data we need to cure mankind, to have peace, to no longer have criminals, to no longer have rapists, murderers. We are in that day that we can, if Jesus said, I will bring you peace if you just think like me. Think righteously, he said. I've said in front of people to this day, I almost had a fight. I said, okay, man, come on, let's do it. I said, let's do it. I told him, I said, well, Jesus was telling us things in parable, and he was explaining to us that he could bring peace on earth with his words if you'd follow his words. And what Jesus meant, we have a disease. You have a possession. We can cure ourselves of war. You see that I have a post now on Facebook that I called, I was telling them how the Democrats have the bacteria infection of war. And I listed Wolbachia, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and then I went on into mycobacteria and then yeast, all these things that are making all these thousands of toxins and analogs and epimers of the vitamins that we need so they can get into our body. Then we can cure ourselves if we cure our body. Yes, I am in a hurry here. I've got to get out of here. I've got an appointment, but what am I not speaking about? The 4 phases of Derivify. The 4 phases of Derivify. They will heal us of this disease that Jesus Christ had in that day, that Ray Kurzweil has this day, George Church has this day, I have this day. We all have it, but some of us can resist this. Our stem cell system, our immune system, can resist this disease better than others. It's just that simple. It's not that we're more intelligent, it's that they're more possessed. They're more infected. Jesus had to say, there's these things in the air, and there are some strange things in the air. I'll tell you that. There's some energies on this earth that are totally strange, and I want to destroy them all because it's what's destroying our people, our family. I call the family of Adam in the Bible, Deuteronomy. It's stated, I believe in the 32nd chapter, that the boundaries of the children. Okay, I may be wrong there, but it's also stated that anyone born of Adam can come and become a child of Israel. It's just we're a family. That's it. We're just we all rose up from one microbe, and we all rose up from one man and one woman. So it's that damn simple. People say we was just shit out of somebody's bottom one day. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Senzyme plug. The Derivify algorithm and serum elixir, Ray Kurzweil would eat it up. The technology of today, just like everybody else, it makes you think. And some of Ray Kurzweil's works and different people's works, keeps my mind going. I said, man, if Ray Kurzweil was cut loose in the middle of this, this could go epic in a very quick way. Dr. Aubrey de Grey, he first started in computer sciences. The 4th phase of Derivify needs computer science. Men like Elon Musk, Michael Grieve, different people like this that are intelligent men, massive men, but they don't have the infection as great as these other people on earth. He's able to get himself to the level of billionaire. Now you have people on earth that you see them, they're rich, and you say, wow, man, I got something else, And it turns out he cheated, lied, stole, even sold poisons. There's people selling poisons on earth right now, calling themselves pharmaceuticals, and they know it's going to kill people, and they just say it's just going to have a few side effects, and then you'll be gone. Don't worry about it. Just give me that $200 I need for that poison I just sold you. But they became rich like that, and there's other people that became rich just by robbing, killing, but secretly. And I can stamp right on the ass of some of the religious people on this earth. They killed, they've murdered, just like in the days of the past, to keep science from knowing what's going on, to keep our family from knowing what's going on, the family of Adam, the family of man. Again, there's so much to talk and say, I cannot get there, but the war that is now imminent, it is near unstoppable. It's going to wipe you out. It's going to wipe us all out. Jesus Christ walked to the cross, so he'd make sure his words got here. He said, if you don't figure out a way to end this possession that all mankind has, you're going to have a war so massive that you're going to be living in caves. You're going to be brought back to the Stone Age. This is how massive this war will be, because the poor infected people of the earth will be taking and killing all those that were able to withstand the disease greater, such as, again, Ray Kurzweil, all these people. Killing and murdering. And then suddenly those ruling the earth are the big fat guy with the club, I rule the earth now because I beat all the intelligent people into dust. That's what Jesus was telling us, the great scientist, the biologist, the researcher, Jesus Christ. And he said, you know what? I got a feeling, man, the way this is working, it's going to take a long time. He said, I got a feeling in the day, and this day's been coming for since the year 1500. It's been coming. He said, I got a feeling in that day, it's going to be tough, man. We got to try to beat it. But I got a feeling the day when everybody understands what life is, cells, individual cells, what life is, when they know that. Now he states it. He just comes out and states it. He says, in that day, somebody like me is going to have to return. Somebody like me is going to have to return. Rick Horswell, George Church, Aubrey Gray, Bill Andrews, David Sinclair. If we can't somehow feel confident enough that we are waking the public to this, we have to start us right now. Right now. Let's say a sanctuary. We can call it a sanctuary. We need to build us a place that is pristine, that has only the correct foods and the correct plants growing in it. What I'm speaking of here is an ecosystem. I used to do it when I was sick. I think, man, if we could just purify this place. And I said, well, you got to start somewhere. So what we need to do is purify Earth just have a small nucleus, purify it, live in that chamber. We may not even have to live there forever. Just live in there, excuse me, 4 or 5 days a week. Then you can go outside, go to the ocean, whatever you want to do, and then go back to the chamber. And then what I have, the different angiosperms and different things that I have realized through scientific data that we can have in this sanctuary, and that we can grow around the sanctuary and live off that food and the serum elixir, the organics that it will take to make the serum elixir that we must take every day, or we cannot beat aging. You can try all day. You can try as long as you want, but you ain't going to come up with nothing that's going to cure you except gerivify the algorithm in serum. You will find things that will assist. David Sinclair, Bill Andrews is always involved. Ray Kurzweil's involved. There's assistance, yes, but without gerivify the algorithm and some very fast feet, we cannot stop this war, and I want to stop that war. I want to stop it. It's brewing. People are blind to it, especially scientists, because they're too damn busy being scientists. If we do not stop this war, we better have one hell of a sanctuary to run to. I don't want to hide in no cave. You want to hide in a cave? Not me. I want to hide in a technological marvel. I want to hide in a technological specimen, an epic creation of all the combined data of mankind. That's what I want to live in. A cave? Damn, we've worked too damn hard. There's been too many lives lost. No, I don't want to be in no cave. We can try to stop this war for everybody. Jesus said there'll be a time come that maybe only 144,000 people can exist. When I read that, I'd never read the Bible. I was in my 40s. I didn't want no part of it. I said, you know what? I don't want no part of the Bible, because every time I try to read it, I seen some of these poor people. I said, I don't want no part of it. And my mother told me, you can you can worship God in our house, because my father run off with the preacher's wife. She was a stunning woman, and she flirted with my father. I seen her as a small boy, and my mother didn't mean to, my sisters didn't mean to, but they made my father's life miserable. So when my father left, first thing hit me, I said, man, why didn't these women calm down? You know what? And they calmed down. Poor man, I said, made a mistake. As I said before, he made a mistake, and he parked us in a mansion there in St. Louis, Missouri. And then him and the preacher's wife started messing around. They took off, and they were in a horrible accident. Not too long after that, she was totally disfigured, my father. And now all the people, as I said, they were those that he was making money with, which were religious people, basically. And they all turned a cold shoulder to him. And my father went way down, and that was the end of that. But what I remembered then is I would think, why are my sisters acting so wild here? Why is my mother acting so wild here? I said, I know they're lying myself. I said, they're saying things, they're lying, driving my father crazy with it. But it's a disease. You see, in science is coming out and saying this stuff now. that it causes everything from the gut bacteria, different bacteria in the brains and everything, are assisting and causing everything from Alzheimer's to autism to bipolarism to just depression and stress. But you see, that's the thing we're supposed to grab. Everybody has depression and stress. Everybody. But it's building, and there's too many, and there's people getting in control again. Hitler had this disease. Do we want some freak like that to show up? What if Hitler showed up? Not Donald Trump. Nothing like that. It's just like the days of the Greek. The Greeks sat around and they pointed this stuff out, and if the Greeks had been left alone, we'd be living in a technological marvel today. An entire society of Paul of Tarsus says there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. He's saying, man, we got principalities in the air that are causing us an infection, a possession. Jesus Christ says the unclean spirits in the air. And then people say, oh, no, unclean. Well, there's some energies out here that will freak you out. But the bacteria, the virus and everything, and then I tell them, I said, well, he was talking about bacteria and stuff, and there'll be idiots that are trained in science that will step towards me. He didn't have no microscope. I said, well, hell no, he didn't. He was so damn intelligent, and he'd done so much research, he didn't need a damn microscope. Ray Kurzweil, does he need a microscope to foretell of what's coming? He just sits down and studies what the information of that day. That's it. We got a war coming, gentlemen. We could miss it. That's what Jesus said. Don't miss this. Do not miss your opportunity to survive. A long letter sent to us. Let me check the time here. A long letter sent to us from many great men, starting from Moses, starting, like I say, Isaiah, Hosea, people that was even saying, I'll see a day when we can do without horses. We can do without horses and everything, and they'll run by themselves. They'll have lanterns, on the front, real bright lanterns, and they'll be bumping into each other because there'll be so many horseless carriages that they'll be bumping into each other. Ray Kurzweil, Jesus Christ, Hosea, Isaiah. Men, in those days, like I said, now how am I going to get this information past these people? That's basically what they were doing. Damn, man, maybe another generation will be able to accept this. So I'm going to say it in parable. I'm going to say it in rhyme. You got a disease, man. Don't start hanging each other. Don't keep hanging yourselves. Don't keep killing yourselves. Avoid war. Do everything you can to avoid war. So we got a war coming, and Ray Kurzweil stated it as he was walking towards the cross years ago. Jesus Christ stated it as he's walking towards the cross years ago. He said, I'm telling you this, wake up, wake up, wake up. I am a futurist. And if I say it, they're going to kill me, and here I am walking to my death because I dared speak something that the religious leaders didn't want me to say because they feared losing their paycheck, feared losing their pile of gold. Failed. These gentlemen failed. They just, as today, you see it. I talked to the religious, and they said he's going to kill me. I said, I tell you what, designate the spot, and I'll meet you there. I said, bring a fucking tank. I said, you bring a goddamn tank, and I say I'll come out of that field because I'm pissed. I said, you just pissed me off, man. I sent it to him in a video like you see right here. I sent it to him after they cussed me, and I cussed him out, man. I said, you limp, penis bunch of crazy son of a bitches. You're the one saying that you run this earth. You say you know God's word. You say these things. I said, come to me. Come to me. You say you're going to kill me. They sent me through. I'd say, they did all kinds of things. I said, come on. I'm back in 2002, 2003, such as that. They said, okay, I said, okay. And I called him on the phone. And Pat Robertson, the hitman of God, I call him now. I called him on the phone. I put Pat Robertson on the phone. They said, well, I'm sorry, he's busy. I said, well, I just received a letter from him. I've been threatened here. He told me that I got to surrender to death. Put him on the phone. They said, well, he don't do that. I said, well, tell him I'll be contacting him by mail. Boom. I hung up the phone. And I was dying. I mean, I was just a mess. A trembling, horrible mess. And that day, I guess it was him. One of the things that caused me to be alive today was him threatening me. Threatening me. You surrender to death right now. And if you talk like this, you say one more thing. Sent me a letter, told me you say one more word, I'm going to kill you. Say one more word told me that. And like it's like we're living in the days of Isaiah and Hosea. Ray Kurzweil. If they could, they'd kill him. Do you see these things? You see on the news that scientist disappears. There's been scientists murdered and stuff. When I see it now, I used to. I said, man, that's so tragic. He was a scientist, all them years of study down the drain. I wonder what, it's just so sad. How did this happen to him? And then I stumbled across these people that were keeping track of these things. And I said, my God, there's been a lot of scientists disappearing and stuff. And these crazy ass people talking about these Illuminatis and all this shit. But then there is crazy ass people in this world. So due to Ray Kurzweil being well protected with money, with knowledge, being in a system of technology, they fear coming after him. But these people that they see off on the outskirts, they say, well, we can get them. These people on the outskirts of technology and science that are coming towards it to bring it great information, they're killing them off. When that man threatened me, I had never felt such anger in my life. I was thinking, well, at least there's religion in the world. At least there's good people in the world. Amazing, beautiful people. I'm so glad. Thank you for these good people, And when he threatened me, I got up, went outside, and I cut down my tree. I had a dead tree in my backyard, and I was sick. I still got bad joints, but I cut that tree down, I peeled the bark off, and I burnt the name of every scientist and every researcher of the Bible. I went from Moses on down the line, went all the way down to the New Testament. And I took that staff, and I stood in front of a camera, and I held that staff out, and I told him, I said, dude, I say I can research the Bible and research you into the dust, and you won't be anything. That's what you feared. Instead of joining me, you showed me what a weak ass you are. You could have joined me, and now you're fixing to die. Pat Robertson's fixing to die. He's going to die. I contacted him so many years ago. With his money, his connections, we could have this thing on the road. Instead, he privately told me this. And I let everybody at his university know about it. I made copies of the letter, sent it to them. They went wild. They contacted me. I mean, it's beyond fathom. They contacted me and told me I wasn't a good Christian because I wouldn't forgive them. I said, man, this is the weakest one. That's what I'm telling you. The ones that are weak are running the earth in certain areas. The ones who are great are running it in others. And I say, thank the Lord Jesus, the mighty biologist, the mighty scientist. I'm sure he was a physicist. He was everything. But he was not allowed to speak. If he would have been, I tell you, I think he was a powerful man. Because I believe he was hung to the cross and his body come back to life. I say he was at least half stem cell. And Isaiah said it's going to take one tough hombre, one tough scientist to get past these crazy people. It's what Isaiah was sending. Okay, they won't accept science. Let me speak in parable here, in a rhyme, or in some words, and maybe people will realize it in the future. And there's many people that see great things in the Bible, and I've learned from many people about the Bible. But when I seen the things that I've seen, I said, I've got to get it to somebody. And Fat Robertson, what I call him now, Benny Sin, he threatened me. Benny Sin, I call him now. Benny Hinn contacted me and called me Kit Berry. I sent him my correct name, and he told me I didn't know anything about the Bible. And he explained to me how in the Bible, they didn't live to be 900 years old, that it was now proven that those in the Bible didn't live more than 180 years. And I told him, bring me on your show, punk. Bring me on your show, and I'll be as powerful as you. I'll tell you, I'll knock down your whole fucking audience. That punk comes out there and got everybody so scared of him that everybody falls down when they're in front of him and all this shit. Makes that joke. I told him, I said, tell you what, man, you bring me on your show, I'll wipe your whole audience out. I'll knock them all down. You ain't shit. And then he contacted me back, Kit Berry, you're just a young man. I said, young man? That's what he told me, young man? I said, I'm not no young man. I said, you're a thief, man. You ain't no goddamn preacher. You ain't shit. And they was all after me. Boom. Have we left the Stone Age? Have we left the days of the heathen? Isla Stabler's left. Ray Kurzweil's left. George Church. We've left those days. But there are fools out there that are still living in the days of early Israel. in the days of early Rome, Greece. The Greeks were amazing. They were doing everything. Empedocles, an amazing scientist, wanted to learn about light. I mean, what the hell, man? That's amazing. That far back and beyond, in BC, Empedocles is wanting to study light. And they said, let's kill this dude. He ain't worshiping Diana. Let's kill this man. He's not worshiping the gods of Rome and Greece. Let's kill this dude. Let's get rid of him. It is written that he jumped in a volcano. I think that's one of the tales like we see today. I got a feeling he was thrown in a volcano. I got a feeling he was thrown there so his remains would disappear. So it's very sad. The great scientist Empedocles, dead and gone, and he was saying, there comes a day when death will end. I know, I see it. You know, we've got disease, we got things going on. Other people in Greece, they called them daemons there in Greece. They would say, well, it's daemons in the air that are causing these people to act strange. They're causing people to be, like I say, possessed, crazy, killing each other, bipolarism, all that back then. And the amazing Greeks says, we're going to name that shit daemons, and it's in the air here around us. And then the great and mighty Hippocrates, he blows my mind. He blows my mind. Him, so long ago, tells us what we're studying today. The bacteria of the gut causing so many diseases of aging that we have not been able to see it. But Hippocrates long ago says, I will tell you this, in all honesty, I will tell you this. I'm going to theorize. I'm going to be a futurist. I'm going to be in futurology. I'm going to be a futurist. And I'm going to say that it's going to turn out that every disease originates in the gut. Now, I believe his statement went a little far there, but almost all of aging originates from the gut, in the bloodstream, the breathing, and all the stuff, but that's tough to beat. To revivify the algorithm beats the shit out of it. It's a tough thing to put together. It's the only thing that's going to cure us. And it's the only thing going to have us ready in case we can't cure enough people and convince enough leaders that we got a massive war coming. Everybody should just all of a sudden just drop their weapons and just say, back off. Science has found something. Drop their weapons. Science has found that we're infected. Everybody drop your weapons. Every nation just all of a sudden, hold on here. The the Persians went towards Greece because they were offended by them. They were offended by their technology and their words about technology. They were offended by it. And war. Literally, every war on earth was truly fought to slow science, in my opinion. Just some idiot in control say, man, the punks over there think they're tough because they made this, they made that. Now let's go blow the hell out of them. America, everybody's wanting to destroy America right now. Same thing it's still continuing in Israel. Israel, a small nation there where there were men trying to wake up. Greece was destroyed. Israel was destroyed. Now today, they were being brought back to life. But in my humble opinion, it would probably cost your life. So we need to get prepared here with to revivify the algorithm. We need to prepare ourselves, and then somebody get brave enough to go talk to these fools and tell them, I want everybody to lay down their arms. We've got a disease, and we found a way we can cure it if you just lock that in your mind. There's going to be some of them get a chill down and up inside their weak asses to where they're going to say, you know what, if I do this, I'm not going to be the head boss. If I do this, I'm not going to be the head cheese here. And it's basically the hemispheres of his brain is not able to snap quick enough. The neurons and synapses cannot function properly. So he's just not getting that word where you all of a sudden say, I prefer peace. I really prefer everybody to get along, In my opinion, everybody should just stop and say, drop it. And everybody drop down on their knee and think and pray with each other. And it was someone, Jesus said, if two stem cells get together, two stem cells come together, two men, two women, there I will be in the midst of you. And I think he was giving us a parable there, like then you will start understanding that if a bunch of stem cells get together and start doing it, because we actually have energies around our body. The aura of our body, they have cameras that can take pictures of this. Some people's is a different color taken with the same camera. I say they caught an energy there. And remember, I was telling you, I think there's energies on Earth here that are coming to people. Could actually, it's mobile. Max Planck, uh, Nikola Tesla, people like this, they knew this. They said, if there, wherever you find energy, you will find a consciousness that is thinking about doing something. Well, our aura, I believe, is, and it's different colors. Some is larger, some is smaller. I believe is an aura that is developed due to bacteria being in our body and everything in our body, and the massless energies and stuff wanting to be in our body and to help live off our body. They want more energy. They're taking energy like they can find bacteria now that literally take electrons from electrical wires. Yeah, you can tell I'm getting upset here, man. Should have brought up Pat Robinson. I still want to whoop his ass. But do you want war? Do you want to survive it? Do you want to stop it? I say we all get together. The Jesuses of the day, the Isaiahs of the day, the John the Apostles of today, Peter of today, were these men seen. Jesus was telling, I got a very strong feeling. He told them, these are the things I want written, and I don't want you to write anything else. But he was telling him, man, they're all possessed, but what he meant was infected. He said, I'm going to tell you, man, you got a hard road ahead of you. He said, but you got to get my word to the future. You've got to get it to the future. Same thing with Isaiah. Same thing with Moses. They wrote the Torah. And I look at the Torah, and it's a beautiful thing, and you learn in there. Other men's done it. I can do it. You may have seen these things. There's things in the Torah you can see that is so totally scientific. Just totally scientific. Medical science, biology in the Torah. And it's just amazing to me. And I know there's other men seen it because I've seen men that tried to touch on it, but they feared. You hear what I'm saying? I ran into a man one day that was telling me something, and he stood there for a minute. He said, no, I don't want to talk to you about it. And I said, come here, man. Tell me, finish your sentence. He said, no, man, I shouldn't have brought it up. And I said, what are you so upset about? He said, well, people don't like to hear it. And I said, well, I'm the man who wants to hear it. And he said, no, man, no. And he left. I said, well, there went a good piece of information. A man that's been thinking of things that's outside the box. Aubrey de Grey, outside the box. Ray Kurzweil, outside the box. George Church, outside the box. David Sinclair, Bill Andrews, Hosea. I think this coming today is going to be we ain't going to need horses. We're just going to drive around in cars. But he called it he was calling it a horseless carriage, a horseless cart. It's going to have big headlights. Now, all you have to do is put some kind of good headlights on it. And there was already in certain societies back in those days developing batteries in clay jars where they could have light and different things like that, And Hosea just stopped and said, I think we're going to have some cars in the future. I really think that. And if somebody heard him say that, he'd be killed. That's right. Hosea is no longer with us. If technology and men of science were not picked off each day for centuries, I say right now we would be living in a utopia, in a paradise. A utopia, a paradise. If Isla Stabler would be listened to. If, again, Ray, I know I keep repeating that, but people can't get it. I've said that to religious people, and I have to, should I draw a gun on you, man? All I did is make a statement, And they say, hey, you can't say that. You can't say that. I had a gentleman told me one day, he said, I feel so sad for Jesus. He was so meek and so mild. And I said, what'd you just say? And I don't go in these churches and try to preach to anybody or anything. I told him, I said, what'd you just say, man? He said, oh, Jesus was so meek, so mild. They showed him in the shroud of Turin. He was kind of a skinny guy. And I said, what are you talking about? Then he's offended. The next statement I make, he's calling Jesus this little weak guy. And I guess in his eyes, Moses was some kind of little sissy that didn't know what to do, so he went off here. And somehow in his eyes, Isaiah was some little scrawny punk, didn't know what to say. But I stopped him and I said, wait a minute. I said, what are you saying? And he said, I'm saying he was so meek. He was just such a tender man. I said, you don't remember he went in and kicked the ass of a bunch of people in the temple, chased them out of it? Ray Kurzweil would have got to that point in that day. Ray Kurzweil would have got to that point. I'm tired of these people messing me. Boom, Tired of Jesus went in. I said, you do understand he went in against a crowd. And he was so powerful with his thundering voice and his beating them with whips and everything and chasing them out of there because he was trying to get them to listen to him. He said, I'm trying to save your life, man. You got a disease, you're infected, you're possessed. Theoresis, infection, possession. You know, it's just that goddamn simple. But there's been people that say, no, you're not going to say that. You're going to keep the word of that. I said, well, if we keep the word of that, we got to go back to Hebrew. If you keep the word of that, we got to go back to Greek. Go back to Sumerian, the Sumerian language. You know, we have to go back to all that. I said, if language didn't change, we'd still be lost to this day. There was a prophet, now that comes to mind, Zephaniah, I believe it was. Zephaniah in the third, I believe it is Zephaniah, the third chapter, if I pronounce it, excuse my job, because I only read the Bible 3 times. But I did the last one for a serious research, and I got in there. But yeah, he said that I'm going to bring to you a pure language. I'm going to bring to you a pure language. There's a lot of people around the earth right now speaking English. And that's how we join together in many gatherings of science, even in religion. They're able to come to the door because everybody wanted to learn English. But if you research English, you find out what they did in English. They started taking here in America, American English, and in England, and it came from Germany and so on like that. But what they started doing was taking the true words of different languages. In America, we speak a language, we call it English, but we pop out a French word on occasion. Most people don't even know it. We pop out a German word. We pop out a Hebrew word. That's why in the dictionary it has Hebrew origin. It has Germanic origin. It has origin in Germany. So on and so on. We built another language. I said, man, that dude could see some shit. And he was a futurist. He was a scientist. He was a man thinking. He was a man caring. He was a man pissed off finally. And as Jesus walked in that, I finally came out and told him that. I couldn't help it. It just came out of my mouth. I said, let me tell you something. Nobody would have followed Jesus Christ if he was some little meek man. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, if he was hanging on the cross and he had some small penis or something, and he was this weak-looking man you're talking about, it died. Maybe the entire Bible died at that time. We don't know. Because everybody was tampering with it at that time. So he was trying to save that true word sent to him by Isaiah, by earlier scientists. And I told him, I said, in my opinion, Jesus Christ was hung like a mule. And if anybody got in his way, he could just grab him, toss him aside. I said, man, a man hanging on the cross nude, everybody see a small, meek, weak man, they're going to say, I'm not following that for nothing. And they just turned and walked away. But what they seen, in my opinion, and I was ready to fight the guy, and he finally shut up. I told him, I said, no, I'm leaving with my opinion. You're not going to change my opinion. Jesus Christ was an extremely handsome man. Even though Isaiah said they would not look upon him and consider him beautiful. But Isaiah was speaking in parable. He was a beautiful man, an amazing Ray Kurzweil. I think his hair, whatever Ray Kurzweil's hair color is, mine changes with the sun. Mine changes in different reasons, different things. But whatever the case may be, Dr. Aubrey Gray, his hair, different things like that. I see a man was hanging there just like the scientists of the day, just like the scientists of Greece, the philosophers of Greece. He was hanging around a cross, and he was thinking, I'm going to do all I can to survive this death and show them that they can cure aging and death. That's why I just can't help it. I said, man, that man must have had a stem cell system that was beyond all others. And I say, if he wasn't hung on that cross, if he'd have been followed, we'd be living in a utopia. If Isaiah would have been followed, we'd be living in a utopia. All these things. But here we are, to square one if we don't be careful here. Because there's a war coming, it's brewing. If America falls, it'd be like a domino effect around the world. Israel is crushed. England is crushed. Germany is crushed. Sweden is crushed. And it just goes on and on and on. And suddenly everybody's running around throwing rocks at each other. Done run out of bullets because nobody's smart enough to make a bullet. Nobody's got enough energy in them to go out there and look for the materials needed to make these things. Suddenly they're back to stones or to clubs, and we're back to square one. That is the terrible place we're setting right now. Because great men of the past said, a great futurist of the past said, in this day and time, there's going to be a war like no other. There's been wars ever since the earth's been here. But is this not the day and time where mankind could nearly annihilate himself? Annihilate. Truly down to a few thousand people, maybe. Just people running, hiding in the mountains again like the Vikings. Just a horrible situation. Just terrible. That's where we're at right now. And our futurists of the past were not heeded. Thank God. Men like these gentlemen, from Ray Carswell on down, thank God they were listened to. Our technology would not have increased to this day. We need to prepare ourselves. Scientists, we need you that sing the new song. You need to prepare yourself. We need to join forces here by Derivify algorithm, and there's only certain life forms on Earth that we can truly eat and truly live off of, and there's only certain life forms that we truly should be breathing. Their pollen, all these things. The Earth's a mess. It's a mess because some people want to call everything evolution. Everything is not evolution. There's been certain microbes, viruses such as that. Science has proven it. That has got into the genome of certain plants, and they've changed them. And mankind has even made a mistake to where they're everywhere from China on to this day, messing with the genomes of plants and different things. And they made them with other plants. And if you don't do that with the correct plant, you still have these poisonous analogs, epimers, and vitamins and proteins, different things that are coming into us that the NIH has studied and said they believe we can do without it. They said we can get everything we need from nature. I don't understand why these bacteria keep making all these analogs, keep making all these things almost like us, even though science has proven that there's bacteria and there's even life forms that are not bacteria, insects and such, that make poisons to kill other life forms. And when they examine those poisons, they're analogs of different vitamins and proteins, so it will be able to enter the genome of the skin, be able to get onto those receptors, those protein receptors, all these receptors that accept our vitamins into our cells, different things like this. They can't get in there if they don't make an analog to near matching. But then they bring in these, what I tell people, the only thing I can figure, and like I say, Yale University just proved me that we have things floating around in our cytoplasm that I told them was there. They're now calling them nanoproteins. Nanoproteins. And I say that they are the moieties that were broken off by the cell trying to keep it from entering the system, and they make their way into the mitochondria to where the mitochondria starts malfunctioning and then the cell has to die. Without these poisons coming into our system, without the different things that are being allowed into our system this day, our cells would last 10, 15, 20 years each, or maybe even 100 years, making us what? Immortalists. 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 Why didn't I put that on here? My name is Rodney Berry. I look for partners, investors. Prepare yourself. There's a whirlwind coming this way, and all of your work and all of the work of all of the Chinese scientists of the past, the alchemists, all of the alchemists of Rome, everything to come up to this day to the chemistry, all that is gone. It was all for naught when we was working towards a day of peace and prosperity, to where everybody on earth is living in a high technological society and their body no longer dies. Again, my name's Rodney Berry. Have a good day.